Welcome to Episode 30, E1 Recap and Quick Reference, a single pass that ties together purpose, scope, and the practical checks you can use to stay assessment ready. The core idea of E1 is basic assurance you can show any day, with controls that are simple, consistent, and supported by clear evidence. It applies to organizations that need credible hygiene without the weight of deep sampling or complex tailoring. Yet it still expects intention, ownership, and repeatable results. Think of E1 as the reliable floor under your program. It will not solve every problem, but it will keep you from falling through gaps that trip many teams. A common misconception is that E1 is lightweight when it is actually right weight for fundamentals. Success looks like small habits performed the same way across the environment. When those habits are visible, logged, and mapped to responsibilities, the program speaks for itself. Access control quick checks give you fast confidence that identity is governed. Look for unique accounts for every user, multi-factor authentication on remote and administrative paths, least privilege in group membership, and named administrator accounts separated from daily use. Verify joiner, mover, leaver steps by sampling one recent hire, one role change, and one termination, and confirm that deprovisioning was timely. A small example is a screenshot of an identity platform showing a disabled account timestamp aligned with an exit date. Many believe a policy alone proves access discipline, but reviewers want proof of execution. The practical habit is monthly access reviews for sensitive systems with short, signed attestations. If you can explain who can do what, why they need it, and how you would remove it today, you are already close to E1 expectations. Endpoint and configuration quick checks focus on how devices are built and kept consistent. Confirm standard images or baselines, full disk encryption by default, active endpoint detection and response agents, and no standing local administrator rights for ordinary users. Check that application allow listing or equivalent controls prevent unknown software from running, and that configuration drift alerts exist for key settings like firewalls and screen locks. A concrete example is a management console report listing enrolled devices and their encryption state. The misconception is that one perfect gold image solves everything. In practice, drift control keeps the image true over time. The practical move is to compare a live host against the baseline monthly and capture any deviations with tickets. When endpoints behave predictably, everything upstream is easier to defend and to audit. Patching and vulnerability quick checks start with an inventory that shows operating systems, versions, and key applications. Ensure authenticated scans run on a schedule and that risk-based timelines exist for critical, high, and medium findings, with exceptions documented and time-bound. Validate that operating system updates and third-party application updates complete across the fleet, and include firmware for network and storage devices on a cadence you can sustain. A simple scenario is closing a critical browser flaw within a week and rescanning to confirm the fix. Teams often assume a tool's dashboard equals closure, but E1 expects remediation proof that matches the finding. The practical habit is to pair each scan cycle with a short report listing counts before and after remediation. Measured, predictable progress is the story reviewers want to see. Backup and recovery quick checks confirm that you can restore when it counts. Verify recovery point objective and recovery time objective statements, backup frequency and retention, and at least one immutable or offline copy. Check encryption in transit and at rest, key management locations, and alerts for failed jobs. Most importantly, run restoration tests and document outcomes with durations, integrity checks, and follow-up actions. A simple example is restoring a database to a clean host and validating records against a known sample. Many believe a green dashboard equals recoverability, but only a test proves it. The practical habit is a quarterly restore exercise with screenshots and notes. When backups are tested and keys are controlled, downtime becomes planned recovery instead of guesswork. Incident response quick checks keep pressure from turning to panic. Confirm incident categories and severities, named roles with on-call coverage, and playbooks for common events such as phishing, ransomware, and unauthorized access. Validate that triage notes, containment steps, forensics preservation, eradication actions, and recovery verification appear in recent case records. A concrete example is a ticket showing an endpoint isolated by endpoint detection and response, credentials reset, logs preserved, and service validated before closure. Many assume that drafting a plan is enough, but E1 values exercised plans. The practical move is a tabletop once or twice a year with time-boxed decisions and captured improvements. When people know their parts and evidence is preserved along the way, response becomes repeatable and measurable. Evidence quality do's and do-nots are the difference between belief and proof. Do capture screenshots with context, visible timestamps, and full paths so the source is obvious. Do export data from authoritative systems and keep it in original formats with minimal redaction. Do map each artifact to a control and system so traceability is immediate. Do not crop away identifying elements, recreate data by hand, or rely on DEX instead of system views. A simple scenario is pairing a policy excerpt with a console view that shows enforcement switched on and a log that records use. Reviewers think in terms of authenticity and sufficiency. Give them both. The practical move is an internal check where someone not involved in collection validates clarity before submission. Timeline, milestones, and expectations turn preparation into routine. Define your assessment window early, schedule evidence refresh cycles, and set milestones for each domain with owners and backup owners. Plan a brief internal review before submission to catch gaps and align naming and dates. A simple example is a 4-week run where weeks 1 and 2 collect and verify, week 3 packages and indexes, and week 4 responds to internal questions. The misconception is that compressing the work saves time. It only creates rework when dates do not match the sample frame. The practical habit is to treat evidence like patching or backups, regular, small efforts that never pile up. Predictable cadence beats heroic sprints. Common pitfalls and avoidance tips can be anticipated. Scope drift leads to collecting artifacts for systems that are out of bounds, while missing time windows causes otherwise good evidence to be rejected. Shared accounts appear during review even when unique accounts exist elsewhere, and untested backups are discovered when a restore is requested. Another pitfall is over-collecting in some domains while leaving thin proof in others, which reads as imbalance. Avoid these by keeping the boundary current, anchoring every artifact to the window, sampling thoughtfully, and rehearsing a restore and a small incident before the assessment. The practical message is simple. Balance, currency, and clarity prevent almost all late surprises. The summary recap and next steps close the loop by turning knowledge into a durable rhythm. E1 rewards consistency across modest but essential controls, and that consistency comes from clear scope, balanced topics, and evidence that speaks plainly. Your quick path forward is to review boundaries, refresh the evidence register with owners and dates, run a short restore test, and hold a dashboard review that records decisions. A brief tabletop and a small access review sample will round out readiness. Keep habits small and regular so they withstand turnover and busy seasons. When each domain has a maintained routine and a tidy proof, E1 shifts from event to normal work. That steady state is the real quick reference. Know what you run, show how it behaves, and keep the trail that proves it.